Today we have a Ryobi 6.5 horsepower rototiller, rear tying. It's a decent little machine. I actually really like this engine. It's a good engine. I had a pressure washer with that engine on there, and I really regret selling it. But moving forward, this is not the biggest rototiller in the world, as you could possibly tell. It's maybe a 24-inch tine. Yeah, I mean, it's good for probably like a medium-sized garden, or I wouldn't do like a lawn renovation or anything like that with it, but it definitely can get the job done if you needed to. My problem is I use one, and the dirt and everything, if you're going through a lot of heavy material, will get bound up in the front and also behind the wheels. That was especially bad, behind the wheels and the guard. Anyway, so this is going to be one for a Ryobi, and there's literally the exact same thing for a Craftsman. It's down to the parts. The only thing that's different is the decals and the color. Having said that, what's wrong with it? Well, the owner said he gave it to his father-in-law, and father-in-law said that it was having a really hard time moving the tines, and he could smell burning rubber. So he asked me to replace the belt, and I'm just going to double check to make sure there's nothing else weird about it. So if you have this type or the Craftsman equivalent, what you need to find is a 1/2 inch by 58 belt. Go to your local hardware store, automotive store, maybe your hardware store, who knows. Get that. I got that off of Amazon. It's like $8. So when we go ahead, we have to take off this little panel. It just has a couple screws holding it into place, and then I'll bring you back. Oh man, so this belt is pretty nasty. You can tell it's been grinding down. It's pretty loose, so it's stretched out. Let's put you down so you can kind of see. So here's the thing. You could tension this more, but it's pretty bad. Trying to see. Maybe not. There's probably at least a way to do a backyard style. The top, there we go. On the handle, you can tension it more. Okay. But considering just how nasty it is, I'm not even going to bother. Usually, this can be guided out, at least through some of them. Look, there's even cuts and rips. Okay, so I'm going to take this off, and then we'll put the new one on. Now, if you look right here and here, as well as here, there's these guides to kind of hold it in place. So you obviously don't want to. This one doesn't matter. I mean, I could cut it and pull it right off, and not going to have an issue. But putting a new one on, you will have an issue, because you will potentially rip it, and then your whole effort of doing anything here is completely null. So there is a bolt there, a bolt there, as well as one behind here. They are 1/2 inch. Going to loosen that and be able to kind of move this one out of the way. This one, though, I think I might have to actually take off. It's just this little plate that bolts onto the engine. But after we have that one off and that one loosened, the belt should come right off and the new one slip right on. got the new belt on, and I put the cover back on. Not exactly the cleanest procedure, but we're at least done with that. A lot of this is actually just a belt residue. So something to remind, before you have these on there, the belt is actually kind of tight on the pulley. So if you test it out without this guide, it's probably going to still spin, and you're going to think you have a wrong size when actually you don't. So I have a belt on, and without this guide it spun, but now if I give the engine a pull with the plug disconnected, so you can tell, well, it's not moving. So we're good to go there. Right now I'm going to put the side cover on, and actually no, let's take a look at the tension on the belt now after I have put the new one on, because before it was a little floppy. I mean, just having a new belt on already seems a lot tighter. I mean, tighter is always a good thing. Yeah, that's a lot better than it was before. Now, this should be self-explanatory when you go into a store and ask them for the belt, but you do want to say V-belt. These pulleys are meant for a V-belt, because what ends up happening is if, I mean, granted, I don't necessarily assume they're going to give you anything else. I don't think it would carry much of anything else, but you know, these grooves, not this one, but actually on here, that's perfectly meant to fit into the belt. So when the belt wears, it just goes further and further inside of the actual pulley. Technically the inside of the diameter of the belt is getting bigger while the outside is staying the same, but we don't really care too much about the outside. We do care a lot about the inside. So when it gets further and further in, it's not going to be able to have enough tension. It's not going to be able to transfer the energy from the engine very well. So when your belt is worn, you're going to get this symptom. Now this is the symptom you want to have, because the other potential problems here is your transmission's going out and your tines. Maybe there's a bearing in there because there's a long shaft, and that shaft goes into a bearing at the end. At least that's how it is on most of them. Maybe not necessarily this one, but something has to be there to hold that shaft still and in place so it can transfer that motion. Sometimes that can go out. I've had to replace a lot of those on Troy belts, not necessarily this one. So all those processes are both hard and expensive to fix. Now this isn't. It takes all 10 seconds to remove, well, technically there's two different types of bolts on here. So I think someone's been in here before from the looks of it. But I'm gonna go ahead and put the cover back on. We'll do that. Other thing that you could want to look at is making sure this tensioner is actually where it should be. If it's not, if it's too far down, then it's not going to put enough tension on to begin with. Check to see if your cable on top is properly set. We'll look at that. And if all those are fine, and you look and you see the belt that we saw, chances are it's probably just a belt, so you don't have to worry. So I'm not going to worry too much about it because that belt was horrible. So I'm going to put the cover on and bring you back. Unfortunately, I think no matter what, the tines are going to move with the wheels, so I can't really do too great of a review. But I'm going to take it up and down the driveway, go in the back. There's a little area I could try it out on, but at least for camera purposes, let's turn it on and see what happens. Maybe like 3/4. Neutral right now. that's awfully shaky. Well, it works. Apparently our tine symbol only means that the tines go backwards, but the wheels still go forwards. Okay. Yeah. Like I said, I'm going to take it around the yard a little bit. I want to make sure and put it in some dirt, and then if it's not better, I'll bring it back. But I think we are pretty much set with this one. Like I said, this is the same thing as the Craftsman, identical 58 by ½ inch V-belt or ½ inch by 58 V-belt, and you know, you should be pretty much set to go. Just make sure that when you do pull or put it on for the first time, that when you pull the cord, nothing's moving. Even though this does have a neutral, you don't want to start it having everything engaged, belt being too tight, and then you go to shift it, and then you end up grinding a gear, and now you just cause yourself a different problem if you just properly tensioned it. The handle part I was talking about is here. This cable. This just goes up and down depending on what level you need. So it's a good little machine. I've used it to till my garden before, well, the Craftsman equivalent. It does a good job. You know, just don't expect it to be good for a real large piece of large project. There we go, because you will be there all day. Okay, I'm gonna let you go. Have a good night. Definitely put a thumbs up if you like it, and I'll catch you in the next video, and don't forget to subscribe. Later.